Your sympathies were with the stone pelters at that stage?
In 2010, yes. I mean, the thing that we were saying is that the retaliatory action should not be so violent, like people should not be killed. And that is part of, what, like our main issue at that time was human rights. That was the narrative.
So, among you students, what did you think would be an acceptable retaliation to stone pelters who were hitting at the forces at that time?
The state has a lot of things at its disposal. Say there
what
is
was
the
the
use
conversation?
of water
Water
cannons,
cannons, okay.
and all of that. Yeah, like that.
They
so-
used water cannons with colored water at that stage.
Yes.
That angered many people because they said those kids are going to come back home in colored clothes, and then they'll be identified by the cops when the Shinakt parade is done. So that was the anger. So water cannon was used, but even that was criticized.
You're right.
Right?
Yeah.
And as far as the pellet guns were concerned, that was the option which I think Kashmir used as opposed to the
bullets. Live bullets,
yeah. So it was crowd control that had worked in Israel, and that was a technology which was adopted in Kashmir at that stage. Am I right in saying
And
this?
there were a lot of people at that time who were drawing parallels to the Intifada of, the Gaza.
Correct.
But today when I see, I'm much more grateful for today's situation, because today it has become clear that Kashmir is not Gaza. And what it has really taken is a political will. Somebody had to break this ice. Somebody had to break the stalemate, because Kashmir was just involved in this back and forth of protests and, sporadic incidents of insurgency, infiltration, all of those things. Somebody needed to break the ice. And for that, I would like to credit the present government, especially the Prime Minister, the Home Minister. They've ensured a political solution to it, which is, I would say, bloodless. And at a time when when the world is talking about civilian casualties in Gaza, I mean, you have to credit the establishment in Kashmir that there have been zero civilian casualties, since 2009, since the abrogation in the last 5 years. There have been zero civilian casualties in police action. And the abrogation, we were all up in arms. I went to Supreme Court.
Let's bring up the tweet on the screen which Shehla had made, in which I'm quoting, "Looking at the events in Middle East today, I realize how lucky we are as Indians. The Indian Army and security forces have sacrificed everything for security." It brings me back to that period of the Intifada. I had even written about that at that stage, because I was, there was this romanticism among the youth in Kashmir about Intifada, right? And everybody wearing the scarf and walking around, and you're seeing similar kind of visuals which are coming in rest of the world. Strangely enough, it's not happening in Kashmir. What do you think is happening? Why?
There are various aspects to this. The first aspect is that the present government, the government of India, they have started treating Kashmir not just as a security problem, but as a political problem. Because of Article 370 and 35A, there was this sense that we are separate. We have our separate constitution. We have a separate flag. For whatever it was worth, we may not be getting the facilities that people in the rest of India are getting. We may not be getting the same kind of treatment. But even then, there was this kind of, sense that we are separate or we are special or whatever it is. And it wasn't really serving any purpose, but people held on to it closely. Some people, I mean, of course, people who are pro-Azadi, they see it like as a red herring or something. They don't really consider it that precious. But those people who believed in the electoral process, etc., they held it as precious. They held it, people like myself, we used to say that, this is a sign of federalism, and federalism is good. It is within the ambit of the Indian constitution. But I think that, it is of course a consequentialist kind of yardstick that I'm applying here. It has served to end the psychological duality, this identity crisis, this hesitation to, say, are you an Indian or are you a Kashmiri? It has ended that thing. So, I mean, if we have to live here in India and we have to live peacefully, then it was necessary to end this politically, this identity crisis, to deal with it politically. So I think that credit to the present establishment for not treating Kashmir just as a law and order problem and security problem, because it was not. I think they managed to correctly diagnose, touchwood, I hope I'm not speaking too soon, they managed to correctly diagnose the problem. It was giving a boost to a separatist kind of feeling, I would say, this separate flag, separate constitution, and, for whatever it was worth, it may or may not be serving our purpose, but it was there. So that's one. The second thing that is happening, the second important thing that's happening right now is that there is a congruence between Delhi and the state administration. There is a clarity as to what the objectives are. There is a clarity as to how to deal with the situation. There is no confusion. There is excellent synergy between the various security forces and even between security forces and the police right now. And the most important thing, now here's where I come in, and someone like me who has been vocal about human rights, who's been sensitive to this issue, our main ask was that civilian killings should not happen, right? They've not happened. The Honorable LG administration, they've also ensured that wherever such lapses happen, there has been action against cops, there has been action against security forces. The Amshipura fake encounter, you might have heard about it in Shopian. There was a court-martial and an army man was sentenced to life for that. So I have to credit, Mr. Manoj Sinha, his administration, the Lieutenant Governor. If I had to describe their 3 years in office in 3 words, I would say peace, accountability, and integrity. Recruitments are happening at a fast pace. I've just now qualified for the post of assistant professor, and there were 27 or 28 posts. And I don't remember the last time that, so many posts were filled.
Did you feel any discrimination when you were taking the exam?
I have been treated on merit. So I cannot allege any discrimination.
Even at interview phase, pardon me for saying this, but nobody said, weren't you part of the Tukre gang?
No. Nobody told me that. The thing is that recruitments are happening at a record pace, and they're happening in a very transparent manner. When you're declaring the result within 6 hours of the conclusion of the interview, there's, no scope for
manipulation
of that.
Click here to watch the full episode.